I'm Titus Talang. I'm the meeting manager, and since Neville sadly couldn't be here today, I'm going to be doing the moderation for this Q&A. The way this is going to work is in lecture.eu E-UNI chat in-game. You can post your questions. Please prefix them with a Q, just to make it easier on me. And at that point, I'm going to go through the questions one by one and ask them in Mumble, so we get some sort of organization on this one. And, well, Johnny can then answer the questions as he chooses. And that's pretty much how this is going to work. Now, first off, Johnny, thanks for joining us today. If you'd just like to quickly introduce yourself for the listeners that aren't aware of who you are.
If you're not aware, I've been making YouTube videos about EVE Online for over 2 years now. Started in 2011, and I've been doing it ever since. I do a lot of educational videos and just trying to share my passion for the game. And I've been on a few podcasts of EVE Online stuff over the years, not too many lately. And I got a community from CCP Games, I think last summer. That was pretty nice. And I'm here to try and help celebrate the 10th anniversary of E-UNI. That's what I think I was contacted about, and hopefully I can shed some light on the YouTube EVE Online exploration topics that you guys have for me today. Oh yeah, and I've been playing EVE Online for, 4 years now? Yeah.
Alright, wonderful. Now, you guys can start to ask questions. Lily, I'm only gonna be forwarding serious questions, please. Would you like to double your risk is probably not appropriate.
So, Titus, you're gonna put the questions in the chat channel on Mumble?
Yep, people are gonna put questions in lecture.euni in-game. You can join that too if you'd like. And then I'm gonna go through the questions and ask them to you on Mumble.
Okay, so I'm not even logged on EVE right now. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, first question. What keeps your interest in EVE fresh? You've talked about getting disenchanted by some CCP updates.
Okay. That's a difficult one because when I get disenchanted, how I said it before, I think I said it before, I actually just take long breaks and come back. You know, because once you take a break from EVE and you play other games, you realize how special EVE Online actually is, and it brings you back just for that sake of the comparison of other games to EVE Online. But sometimes I actually go out of my way and try and learn an entirely different profession or activity in EVE Online. Like recently, I took up trading. I started putting a bunch of trading skills in, and I'm going to be manipulating the low-sec faction warfare markets. Don't tell anybody. And get into that just because, you know, when you get bored of the game, it's your own fault because you got to find other things to do. You got to go out of your way and find other activities because, you know, CCP doesn't handhold us like other games. But that's the difficulty of EVE Online. You really got to put your time and effort into making your own fun. It's challenging, though.
All right. The next question is by Helios White Moondraft. He asks, how did you get into exploring?
That happened when I was in high sec. I didn't know what these sites were. I was in a probing ship in a Heron, and I was probing around high sec space, and I ended up finding a radar site, back when they were called radars, not data sites, and ended up looting over 30 mil. And as a 2-month-old character with 30 mil in his pocket, I was pretty impressed at the profit that could be made. And ever since then, I knew exploration could be a good source of income in the game, so I kept doing it ever since. So yeah, I started in high sec, but my first big loot drop was in Nullsec when I was living with Space Monkeys out in Pure Blind, and I got a 1 billion plus loot drop as a less than 1 month old character. Not 1 month, less than 6 months old, and I got that, and that was unbelievable. So been doing it ever since for profits. Keep myself plexed.
All right. Next question is gonna be by Ronnie Wellings. Question: how did you find out about Eve?
It was a friend at work. I started working full time after college, and he kept talking to me about Eve Online and the battles he's been doing and his training of his character and all this stuff. And I always been into science fiction, space science fiction. So he didn't pester me about joining the game. He just kept on telling me about it. So I eventually downloaded the trial one day and I subscribed 3 days later. It didn't take too long to convince me the value of Eve Online as a gaming experience.
All right. Buffoon asks, are you mostly a solo Eve player, or do you ever join corporations for collaboration?
I used to be a group player, but over the years, as I become more experienced in the game and my life has changed, become more and more of a solo player as I age in the game and also in real life because of the schedule I live. I like to be able to log on and log off and not feel any obligations to remain on at a certain time. So as I get older, you'll see me become just even more of a solo player. I see one day I'll just be solo everything. Group play, it really isn't for me.
Okay. Next question is once again by Helioswipe. He asks, what made you start making YouTube videos?
The answer for this one is really simple. When I was starting into EVE Online, I was looking for YouTube videos about it and kept on realizing that barely anybody was making any real useful videos about exploration that I wanted to watch. And so I decided to take that burden upon my shoulders and make the videos I wanted to see. And so ever since then, that's what I've been doing, and people also seem to like it. So I started because there was a need for it that I wanted to have filled for myself. It's kind of weird. I wish someone else would have done it, because then I could have enjoyed his videos for 2 years, but I ended up taking up that burden. Or I say burden, more of a passion, but it does take a lot of effort. It's true.
All right. Next question is by Pamela. What's your best EVE memory and your worst EVE memory?
I think my best EVE memory was that very first loot drop I got as an explorer when I was a young character, and I looted a module that was $1 billion plus worth. It was a Pitham A-type medium shield booster from a 6 out of 10 complex in Nullsec. And as a young player, I was like, I literally doubled my wallet in just an hour. So I was blown away. So that was my best memory. My worst memory, I can't think of a worst memory. I think, okay, the worst memory is I was living in high-sec with a high-sec mining group when I was a real young player, and I ended up, I had +4 implants in my clone, and we got war decked by some high-sec group, and I was warping into Jita, and I didn't have a safe dock bookmark, so, sometimes when you're warping with a pod to a station, you still have maybe 1,000 meters to cover, and I got sniped. So as a young player who just lost 100 million worth in implants, it was pretty devastating, and for a young player. So that was my worst memory, and ever since then I have safe dock bookmarks for stations I use.
All right.
I still remember the guy's name who killed me.
The next question, once again by Helios, would you ever do a lecture in E-UNI about exploration?
Someone asked me to do it before, but I declined because at the time I didn't really want to commit to anything because I was busy and feeling stressed in my real life. So I could very well take up that offer again. It's pretty much an open offer to do it whenever I have time to do it. So yeah, that could very well happen.
All right. The next question is going to be by Lara. Will solo EVE play keep you into Empire/Lowsec for a long time, or would you go live in NPC null too?
It will keep me. Solo play won't keep me from Nullsec. It's my lifestyle in real life and how I like to play Eve. In Nullsec, you have to do a lot of logistical things and worry about a lot more. For me, in low sec and high sec, it's much more comfortable for me as a casual player of Eve. I'm not a hardcore player of Eve anymore. I'm very, very much casual. And so, being casual, it will keep me out of Nullsec and wormhole space for quite a long time unless I decide to get serious about, money-making endeavors or Nullsec sites. So high sec and low sec is where I'll be staying for the foreseeable future.
All right. Next question is by Ronnie Vellings. How is the war against the bots going? It was an awesome video.
Yeah, it's funny. Ever since I took up that challenge by Far From Puking back in that EVE Online podcast, I used to listen to EVE Online podcasts all the time, and ever since I did that challenge, people always bring it up. For years after people bring it up about that, and I haven't done it since. I did it for about a month, the video making about the bot thing, and putting a lot of effort into finding out about it. It took too much effort as a solo player to catch bots that it was not working out well, and it was stressing me out more than me having enjoyment, so I stopped doing it. But to this day, people still bring it up, and I wish there was a easier way to catch the bots and harass them for inflating the market. But there's not really an easy way to do it for a lone player outside of the high sec miner bot ganking.
All right. Herman Fonsilli asks, you started off as a miner. Do you think it's still an efficient starting point to make profit for new Reef players?
Efficient? It depends on how you want to play the game. If you like to do other things, if you like to multitask while playing Eve, then mining is okay. But if you like to be involved in the game, then exploration would be a better route as a younger player. But mining, I was a miner for a beginning because it was easier for me. I was working a full-time job, and I was working in the IT field, so you could have a client open, mining, and also doing my work. So I don't recommend that, but it worked out for me, making a few million extra per day mining.
Okay. Next question is by Buffoon again. For new players, do you believe they should explore low/nullsec as soon as possible, or wait to be more experienced in mechanics and skill points, I guess?
I guess it depends on how much they've their ships. If they're the kind of player they approach Eve knowing that they're going to die eventually, and there's no way around that, then as a young player, go to low sec, go to null sec as soon as possible, because it'll give you much more money and could cover your losses very easily. And I think getting out there, I didn't get out there fast enough, so I kind of progressed much more slowly, I think, than the average player. But I would recommend doing it if you're not worried about losing ships. If you are worried about losing ships, then don't do it. Don't do it. High sec would be better for your profit and keeping your wallet filled so you can buy those skill books you need.
All right. Next question is once again by Lara. Dust 514 question. CCP isn't giving up, so where do you think they have to take the game's design next? And would you expect a PS4 or a PC port first?
Well, going with how much effort they put into the marketing of this is a console game that connects to a PC game, I would guess they would go with a PS4 version before they release a PC version and keep it that way for a while. The game, it's a good game like EVE Online. It continues to keep your attention, but I think if I was a person who didn't play EVE Online, I probably wouldn't have touched Dust 514. because of the other alternatives out there that look better, that play better, that are from companies who are more experienced in FPS titles. Now, I haven't played Dust 514 in a few weeks. It just doesn't keep my attention anymore as it did when I first started playing back in last year around May. I don't know what CCP can do to fix it. I just don't know, because my perception of what an FPS should be is completely different from what CCP their aim is. So I don't really have a solution, because the solution I wanted to do is like it just doesn't match up with their plans, so that never happened.
All right. Next question is once again gonna be by Helioswipe. Do you still use a stealth bomber to kill explorers?
Not lately, but I still have one fitted and ready to go whenever I do find somebody. Often is the case. I do see in Nullsec a lot of T1 exploration ships roaming around running sites, and I know they're a newbie, so I just don't even go after those guys anymore. I only go after the covert ops probing frigates that are doing it, because it's a more worthwhile target for the security status loss. So I'll engage covert ops frigate if I find them, but I'll leave the T1 exploration frigates alone. Don't hold me to that, though. If you're out there exploring a T1 frigate, you might just be the unlucky one that I decide today's the day I'm going to kill a T1 frigate. But yeah, I still do it. Not much lately. If you check my kill board, you can see I haven't done much of any of that, but I still have it fitted and ready to go to hunt someone down.
All right. Bob Care Bear Raholan asks, what ships do you use for nullsec exploration?
Okay, well, nullsec is one area that I have. The wormhole space is my least experienced area, then it's nullsec, then low-sec, high-sec. So it's hard. I would use an Ishtar or a Tech 3 cruiser with a mobile depot. That would be my two plans. As a solo player, I would use an Ishtar or a Tech 3 cruiser with a mobile depot. That's a heel is questionable, but that's what I would do. I would go into more detail, but there's so many options, and depending on people, there's their player skills, it could vary greatly in what's possible.
Okay. Next question is going to be by Penkin. As an explorer, what are your thoughts on the Sisters of Eve ships, like the Estero, the Stratios, and the Nestor?
I have no interest in the Nestor because of its cost and its uselessness to me, because I don't really fly battleships. But the Stratios doesn't have enough tank for me. If it had more tank, I would use it for low-sec sites, but it doesn't have enough tank. I've tried so many fittings. It just can't handle that much DPS for those higher-rated combat sites. So I've used the Stratios in the past to run high-sec combat sites, but low-sec, no. The Stratios is okay for high-sec combat exploration. The Estero, of course, is too expensive for most newbies, most young players. But the Estero is a very good low-sec hacking site, of course, null-sec hacking site ship. I wouldn't waste an Estero on running high-sec hacking sites. I would use like an Estero for low-sec or null-sec hacking sites. Null-sec's really dangerous because I've checked kill boards and statistics, and there are numerous people out there using this tactic of using a saber and camping in a hacking site on a container. So when this Estero or unlucky explorer decloaks to hack the container, the saber pops a bubble and kills their ship and the pod. So it's pretty brutal out there in nullsec. So I would recommend using Estero in low-sec. Stratios, I would use it for low-sec hacking sites if you are willing to risk your ship, because an Stratios brings a lot of attention because it's an expensive haul, so people like to pad their kill boards like that. I would use the Stratios for high-sec combat exploration and the Estero for low-sec and null-sec hacking sites.
All right. Next question is going to be by Helioswipe again. Have you ever thought about living in wormhole space, and why/why not?
I've thought about it, but only for a little bit of time. And that's because I mentioned this before early in the Q&A that the lifestyle I live in real life and my casual playing style of EVE Online lately, living in wormhole space doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. So it's not an option. That's just as simple as it is. Being a casual player, wormhole space just not fit for me.
Okay. Ronnie Wellings asks, is there a story behind your in-game name, Sir Livingston?
Yeah. So when I was born in real life, my father wanted to call me Livingston. He wanted that to be my first name, but my mother opposed this decision. So I ended up, being not named Sir Livingston. So I went with in EVE Online, Sir Livingston, because Livingston was taken, and I wanted to kind of honor that name or that decision my father made, because I would have loved to be called Livingston when I was a kid, because I hate the name I have in real life, which is I don't hate it, but it's just so common. It kills me. It's Jonathan. That's my ring, Jonathan. So, and you know how many Jonathans there are in the world? It's unreal. Too many.
Okay. Next one's once again by Lara. For video, I don't know how to use anything more complicated than iMovie. When do I decide to try something like Adobe Premiere or After Effects?
Wait, what was you cut out when you mentioned the first piece of software?
I don't know how to use anything more complicated than iMovie. When do I decide to try something bigger like Adobe Premiere or After Effects?
Okay. He would just use iMovie until he can't stand it anymore. Learn iMovie completely. I started out using Movie Maker, because I use the Windows. So I started out using Movie Maker, and I used Movie Maker for a good year till I got sick of the limited options. So I upgraded to Adobe Premiere Pro when I had enough money to actually pay for the license. I didn't pirate it because it's part of my real life profession to make sure I have a license so I can actually profit off the work I do and be legal. So I would use iMovie until you find it limiting you creatively. If it can't fulfill your creative needs with your video, then that's the time you want to consider upgrading and learning the next level of software. That's what I did for me. It worked perfectly, and that's what I would do. I don't know. Does that answer the question? How you'd want it?
Well, there is no follow-up question, I would assume. Okay, next one once again. So Buffoon, what faction ship do you think is the most balanced these days?
Okay, what faction ships? Are we talking about the faction as in the race? Or are we talking about the faction ships like the pirate faction or the Navy?
Which races ships?
Which are more balanced?
That's the question, yes.
That to me, that question. See, races aren't really unbalanced because people can use whatever ships they want in the game, and every ship has their disadvantages and advantages. So I've never thought of any race ever in my history of EVE play, ever thought of a race being being better than another race of ships, than another faction of ships. By the way, I use the word race instead of faction to not confuse, because when you use the word faction, it confuses people. They think about faction ships and not the racial ships. But yeah, I've never thought of the races to be unbalanced to each other. Every race has their advantage and disadvantage. They are balanced, in my opinion.
Okay. Follow-up question. So you would recommend training the skills of the ships of all races?
Say it again. You cut out for a second.
So you would recommend you to train the skills to use all ships? Or the different races?
I would not recommend a young player to do that. But if they see themselves and they know they're going to be a player who sticks with EVE Online for many years, then I would train multi-race, we call it cross-training, racial cross-training, is that what they call it? I did that myself, but the first battlecruiser I was flying was a Prophecy. And then just like a month later, I was flying a Drake. So, and I was a young player, I was less than a year old. So, I would do it just so you can get a better feel for the different races offer and what you kind of like. Because as a younger player, sometimes we get interested in the weapon systems or what looks prettier than other ships. Like when I was a younger player, Mars ships were totally on my radar because they were pretty, they were golden, and they were flashy, and the lasers. So that caught my attention, but I would train. I would racial cross train. I would do that, but don't take my advice for it's my opinion based upon my experience in the game. I don't know based on balancing. Since they're all balanced, in my opinion, you pick a race that you would enjoy flying visually as a younger player. That's what I would do.
All right. Next question is again going to be by Helioswipe. What do you do other than exploration in EVE, or is there something you would like to try?
Well, there are a lot of things I've done besides exploration, but nothing that I currently do besides trading. I've taken up trading recently. That's something I do besides exploration. PvP is something I've tried over the years, on and off. It never really kept my attention because I don't know, it's not satisfying enough to the PvP experience. Or maybe it's just too stressful. I don't like having to log on and then weigh the odds for every engagement in my head over and over and over and over. So I like a more casual play. See, what else have I done? I've done high-sec griefing, but not griefing in the way that like it's abusive to a player. Like I would use tactics to convince somebody. I think I made a video about this. I deleted it a long time ago, but I would go into high-sec anomalies and pretend that I was a younger player and just start looting other people's wreck, becoming, suspect to them. Back when the kill right system or the new, what do they call it? The new kill system was in order. What was this thing called? Before Crime Watch was redone, you would be only flagged to that one person to be shot at. So I would do that, and once they hit me, I would of course be fit, fully capable of killing them, and I would kill them. So that was one of these little, I don't know, call it griefing or not. It's a little shady though. But high-sec, I've done trading in high-sec. I've done low-sec exploration, high-sec exploration, null-sec exploration, null-sec PvP. I was involved in a rather large war back in the day when the CFC, or the CFC, what was that group called? I think it was CFC, back when they existed in their original form. I've done a few things, not as much as some people might think. Exploration has always held my interest over all the years. That's the only activity in EVE Online that's kept my interest, is exploration. That's why I wish CCP would put more time into it. Odyssey was supposed to be the big, exploration expansion, but it kind of missed the mark. So I'm hoping for something else to reinvigorate me for more exploration in EVE Online.
All right. Next question is going to be about Ronnie Wellings. What do you think about a corp like Eve University for new players to learn about Eve?
I think it's good that it exists. I mean, Eve Online is a better place because Eve University exists and other organizations exist for younger players to join and become a part of, to learn the group aspect of Eve and to have mentors. It's a great thing, especially I've heard brave newbies out constantly, and I think they're just a haphazard group of younger players. I'm sure they have educational things, but that's another newer player-friendly organization. EVE Online is just a place with new player-friendly organizations, especially ones that focus on education of the game.
All right. Next question is by Lara. If you stopped doing videos, would your playstyle for Eve/Dust change much? How much time does it take you to plan out a video idea?
It varies greatly depending on what the topic is. Okay, I'll answer the first question. If I stop making videos, the way I play the games wouldn't change too much. How much time I spend per session would change. And I say sessions, like how long, a session to me is how long I play in a single sitting. So when I play and make videos, I play a lot more. Because I want to make sure I get the right footage the video. I want to also spend time doing what it is that I'm recording a video about, so I learn it and have the right information to provide the viewer, so I don't leave things out or forget things or give incorrect information. So I spend a lot more time playing Eve when I'm actually making videos about it. So if I wasn't playing Eve, I'd spend much less time playing Eve. If I wasn't making videos, I would spend a lot less time playing Eve and Dust. I mean, currently, I'm not even playing Dust at the moment. And what I would do in the games wouldn't change. I would still be doing the same things because I make videos I enjoy in the games, and what I enjoy in the game is what I do. So it's kind of simple that way.
Okay. Next question is by Lily Fuzro. Have you been to FanFest, and do you like what the devs have done with the game in the time you have been playing it?
I have never been to FanFest, and I can't say I don't like what they've done with the game. It could be better, could be worse. I'm kind of indifferent in that way. The game is good as it is. Of course, there's always room for improvement, and I don't know. I think since I've been playing a game for 4 years, I've never played a game for more than 2 years in my life, except for Eve. So I've come to accept a lot of what CCP does for the game, just because I'm doing my thing. I know what I like in the game, so whatever they add is just something else I can try. Know what I like in the game. The one thing I think they could do better is exploration. As an older player, there's not much more to do for exploration outside of living in wormhole space and doing that whole thing. But that just comes with the territory of being an older player, I believe. Your perception of the game changes. Every single year you get older in the Eve. Perception of Eve Online, it changes completely.
All right. As a follow-up to the FanFest question, are you excited to cover Eve?
No. Valkyrie, it's an interesting idea. I've never been a fan of 3D games where the idea is fun. It's to think about, as a gimmicky type thing that you pick up and play and enjoy. But I don't feel it would be something I would like to do, for very long. maybe because I'm worried about getting dizzy. I've always had this problem when playing games of when like first person games, I get this feeling of claustrophobia when I'm playing like an FPS game sometimes, so it's not really up my alley, although the idea of it seems really fun and really good to just pick up and play for a few short sessions per week, but getting the device to play it properly, the Oculus Rift device, paying that extra money is just like, come on, give me something I can actually use my current existing equipment to play, like Dust on the PC. That's what I would enjoy. Dust on the PC is what I would enjoy, because I have a great PC. I want to use the PC for playing Dust, but Valkyrie, not really that interested at the moment.
Okay, next question is gonna by Herman Fonsili. What are the most basic tips you give new players that want to get into the exploration segment of the game?
Basic tips. I would tell them to get into a T1 exploration frigate fit as soon as possible and go out to low sec and just learn. But of course, if they want to remain in high sec and not risk their ships, at the moment I think the Vexor would be the best noob-friendly platform, maybe because they have to manage drones is better that way. It's difficult. Depending on a player's experience, the tips you give somebody, it just changes so much depending on how old they are, from a month to just 2 months. Because a month-old character, they have almost no clue. So it's very challenging. The tips that I would give them is, the basic tips, very general. When it comes to making money in exploration, you can't get discouraged about it because the payoff is completely random. You don't know what you're going to get, so you can't expect a certain amount of money. That's one tip. Don't get discouraged by how much money you make doing it. Another one is train up your astrometric skills. I think that's what they're called still. Your scanning skills. Get them up to level 3 or 4 as soon as possible. 3 at the very least as a younger player. That way you can actually probe in any decent amount of time. Because probing is one thing that'll take up a lot of your time as a young player because your skills are lower. So you want to have good probing skills. And, yeah. There's not a lot of tips I can give for younger players because, the difficulty about younger players is that they don't know the specific questions to ask because they don't have the experience to know what questions to ask. So it's kind of a lose. It's difficult working with younger players. It really is. That's why I have so much respect for the organizations that are newer player friendly. It's very challenging, very hard work, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know about any other tips to give younger players. Just the one tip that I know that's always helped me is to don't get discouraged with how much money you're making doing it because the payoff is random. It's RNG.
All right. Next question is once again going to be by Buffoon. What kind of games do you play, and what do you think makes EVE Online unique to stay strong after all these years?
Well, since I've been playing EVE Online for 4 years, the games I've played while playing EVE Online have changed. Back when I first started playing EVE, I was playing on the Xbox 360 a lot. I was very much into console games. EVE Online is what converted me to PC completely, eventually. What happened. Because I think I said this in the past, my Xbox is now in a box, and I don't use it. I would sell it, but it's worthless. Because the new Xbox One. I play right now, in the past, I played a whole slew of Xbox console games. And PC games, I played, that Tribes Ascend game? I spent a whole summer playing Tribes Ascend instead of EVE Online. I don't think I told anybody about that, but that was a real fun experience. Anybody else know Tribes Ascend? I think it's a free-to-play PC game at the moment. And right now, I'm actually playing a very casual game. Those who probably know about it, called Hearthstone. Been playing that a lot, and I really been playing it for the past month. I started playing it. I'm really enjoying that game. And what was the second part of the question?
What do you think makes EVE Online unique to stay strong after all these years?
Oh, it's definitely the sci-fi sandbox experience. I mean, it's a game that has so much to learn. You could be 4 years old or in the game, and 6 years old in the game, and still have areas of the game you can still go out and learn. Like, I've never lived in wormholes. That is a whole other lifestyle I could take up in EVE Online as a 4-year-old player in the game and I know nothing about it. So that's it. Alive. That's what makes it possible for a game like for EVE Online to exist for 10 years and still have veterans playing the game who are years and years old and new players. I can't imagine how hard it is for new players. Every year they add more things, they change things. Every year, I think some people disagree though. They say the better vets say that newer players have it easier. I don't know. There's a certain point in EVE Online, I believe, that EVE Online kind of became harder, not easier. Of course, that's the perception of the older player. Very easy to think, oh yeah, now it's easy for players to learn because you have a whole different perception of the game. The new activities, just a summary, the new activities that you can pick up in the game that you've never touched in your life of the game, that's what keeps it fresh, because you know as an older player you could go out and do that and learn it and spend an entire month or year trying to learn something new that you've never done before, because it's EVE Online, there's so much to it. Content saturation in the sandbox.
All right. Nibbler has a quick comment about your Valkyrie question. He says that you might be experiencing what is called simulation sickness. That is a common problem that can be reduced by the frame rate and field of view of the device being increased and the latency being decreased. And he also says that this issue should not be happening on the Rift.
Okay.
The next question is going to be by Lara, who asks, I just started doing incursions. Are you interested in dungeon PvE for a change, or simply tapping into the ISK fountain?
I've considered, that's one thing. Another thing, incursions I've never touched. It's another activity I've never touched. I've not ran a single incursion site in my life. Probably because at the time I just had so much ISK, it doesn't really seem very entertaining, and it's more of a group activity, and as a solo player, group activities don't really interest me. I would do it if I had a need for ISK, but since I don't, and I've watched a few streams of incursions, and it doesn't seem all that entertaining. Maybe incursions in low-sec or null-sec would be entertaining. Yeah, I don't find incursions to be all that entertaining. Unless you wanted to make a lot of money.
Alright. Well, at this point we've run out of questions. Which means, I'm gonna give you guys like 5 more minutes to come up with questions. And, if you've asked all that you'd like to ask, then we're gonna wrap up the Q&A.
No one has any questions about building a YouTube channel. Great. The only thing I know so much about.
Okay. Lara asks, how much can you really make off of YouTube ads?
Oh, okay. It varies greatly depending on who you are going through for monetization. Being gaming related, there are some hoops you have to jump through. I'm currently partnered with an organization called, and they offer me like 90% revenue share on all ads. So say if I have a month that I get 100,000 views, then roughly half, on average, half of those views are actually monetized. The rest of them are either ad blocked or some other way someone viewed the content without an ad being ran. But out of those 50,000 views, I could expect to, depending on the value of the ads, it also changes depending on which month it is of the year, because like December is a very profitable month because businesses are dumping their extra cash into advertisement revenue, whatever, or they're dumping all their money into advertisement, a lot of them because of the holidays and the end of the year. So that becomes a very profitable month. But January is a very unprofitable month for ad revenue. So it depends. It changes. Let's say January, I made, what was it? $193. I made $193 in January. And that might seem like a lot to some people or a little, but if you're who I am, 25-year-old male, it's not really that much money because of how much costs are, but you can make, I don't know how much you can make, like all the way from $1 to $4 per 1,000 views. And that's on average, I would say, for me. $4 at the very most, like December. But it does seem like a lot of money to some people, but it's really not that much to an adult living an adult life. It's rough. But I'm not going to complain. The ad revenue certainly does help.
All right. Ronnie and Helios Swipe unanimously agreed to take you up on your bait, and they're asking you how to start making YouTube videos.
How to start is challenging because if you want to do it for the sake of creativity, having a creative outlet for yourself, it's different than if you were going into it to either make money or to get an audience. I started doing it because I just wanted to make videos I wanted to see, and that's why I started doing it. But what I would do, the cheapest way that I could think about doing it is to buy a license with Fraps, or use some free screen capture software. I wouldn't buy hardware unless you want to invest more money into it, but download some kind of free screen capture software and record whatever you feel. Like, you really got to think about it. Okay. If you want to build an audience, you really got to think about what players want to see, or what you would want to see, because if you want to build an audience, you got to give people what. If you don't care about audiences, you make what you want. And if you can find that overlap where you make what you want also overlaps with what people want to see, that's the sweet spot. So you want to think about where that overlap is and make videos about that. And that's what I've done, and I've had pretty decent success from that. And the software for editing, you really only need free software. You can use Movie Maker, iMovie, whatever's free out there. Voice recording is the most challenging part about it. Having a decent microphone is a big deal, because there's nothing worse than having a good video and having the person speaking over it to have either a terrible microphone that picks up every bit of noise and scratchy, or it's just too loud. So a voiceover can ruin it. A bad voiceover can ruin a video completely. Over the years, I've invested quite a lot of money into what I use, but the good thing about it is that my career in real life, it mirrors a lot of the stuff I use for video making and EVE Online and all that stuff. So I use it for both work and video making. So it works out that way for me, luckily. So yeah, as a young player, find out, or for video making, find out where overlap is, where people, what they want to see and what you want to see. Find that overlap and make videos about that. you really got to give it thought, because a lot of people make videos about the new tutorials or make videos about their mining with their corp. Rarely does anybody want to see that besides maybe you and your corp mates. And that's where a lot of people fail, and they end up getting no views, no interest from other people. And that eventually drives a lot of players to stop making videos about Eve because they don't get any viewership from it. At least that's what I've seen happen a lot of times.
Next question by Lara. Can you imagine the Eve base doubling or tripling in the next years? Would this dramatically change the game?
If that happened, if the player base doubled in 2 to 3 years, well, first off, I think that's not going to happen. I don't think the player base is going to double. I think it's going to continue on its current trend. But if it did double, yeah, it would change a lot. There'd be the CCP would probably have to change the corporation skill books again, as they did recently, and increase the maximum capacity of organizations again. High sec could be more saturated than ever, so it would force more people to low sec and null sec in wormhole space. It would just be the same thing, but on a much faster timeline because of the mass influx of players. So yeah, I think the progression of the game would just be on a faster timeline than what it's as what it's been doing for the past 2-3 years past.
All right. Next question is going to be once again by Helios Wipe. What do you think about CCP giving more and more control of the game to the players? Like, for example, Pocos in high sec.
No, that's definitely a good thing. Get the players more involved in the development of the space itself. I really wish that they would have like small mobile passes, make that a possibility. You know, mobile depots are awesome, but if something like a mobile field or a mobile shield that you could drop also, and have some kind of temporary defense so you could sit inside there as like your home base. Or, you know, how they have when you, if a kid and you played tag, that would be the safe spot or the safe zone. That's what I would like to see happen for that kind of mobile base to be possible. A real mobile base that has defenses, not just like a mobile depot that's defenseless outside of its reinforcement timer. But I do like CCP doing that. I do like them giving players more control. The mobile structures is a good step. The Pocos is a good step. They could do a lot more. A lot of players want the ultimate is to get rid of Concord, but that's never going to happen ever. And that would be the ultimate control, though, to give maybe if that was possible for a group of like, for instance, you know how players can join faction warfare, and therefore they immediately have the ability to attack players that are in other factions in low sec. So what if there was an organization in high? This is not going to happen. What if there's an organization in high sec you could join called Concord Recruits or something like that, and players could join it and be able to, I don't know, police high sec in some way. I don't know how that'd be possible, because you have to be there on the site for when a criminal act takes place. So I think that's impossible, but it's fun to think about. Player control, more player control is good. Involve more players in the story creation process of the universe at a smaller scale. Because outside of that, unless you're a big organization, it's challenging to have impact on the game.
All right. Well, once again, run dry on questions. So let's give it a few more minutes. There we go. So Buffoon asks, many people like the fact that Eve skill training works when you're not, but the fact for level is that for level 4 and level 5 skills, they can take many months to train. Is this a turn off for new players?
For a new player, absolutely, it's a turn off, I should say. But when I was a younger player, I wasn't even looking at those level 5s. I was looking at what I could do right now. But as an older player looking back, I'm happy I only thought about what I could do now and do that and enjoy it. But if I wasn't like that, if I had the mentality when I was a younger player that, man, I want to get into this ship and it's going to take me a month. Oh, this is terrible. I don't want to do this. That would cause me probably to quit the game a long time ago. That also has something to do with the unique perception I had. I was lucky enough for EVE Online to be my very first MMO experience. So I accepted EVE Online for what it was. I didn't have any perceptions other than what EVE Online was. So it made it very easy for me to accept that skill training requirement as normal. It's almost been an hour. It's pretty good.
Right. Lily Fuzro asks, does EVE lore interest you, or is it just background noise?
It doesn't interest me. I think it would interest me more if I read some of the EVE books. If I actually read the books, but I don't really want to go out of my way to order them. I already have so many books I need to read. I don't know if I want to buy more books to read. The only thing that would get me interested in EVE lore is if I was, if I had those books. What do they call it? Templar? I think that was one of them, and a few other ones. I'm on Amazon and available some places. If I read those books, I think that would pique my interest, but at the moment, no. I don't really have an interest in the lore. The player lore, like the player history of organization stuff, that interests me. Like where like a group started and how they progressed. It'd be nice if there was a book like that, you know, a book or some kind of PDF that contained organizations and it gave a chronological history of that organization's development. That would be interesting to read.
All right. Buffoon asks once again, when you started, when did you decide to invest in implants to train faster?
Well, luckily, when I first started playing, I had, my friend from work who got me into the game, and he was the only reason why I knew about skill implants or attribute implants. And also back when, our attributes were actually connected to a skill that you could train and increase your base attribute skill level in that area, whether it be intelligence, perception, willpower. I started with skill implants like within the first week of playing the game because of the assistance. He gave me a whole set for free of like +2s or something, which I thought was a really big deal. I was very thankful for that because I was very poor. But I started within the first week with skill implants and skill book training for my attributes because of the guidance of my friend, which goes along the lines of that new player friendly organizations that focus on education is a good thing because that way players learn about these things, these options they have to them, and not just float around space aimlessly, not knowing what to do at all. Can you imagine how much of a nightmare that might be? I don't know. I don't want to think about it. It sounds like a great thing. Like it could be this true sandbox experience. You learn everything for yourself playing around. Or you could have a little bit of guidance and do a lot more faster, as I was able to because of my friend's useful information. By the way, this friend I'm talking about, he doesn't play EVE Online. He quit years ago, which is sad. But, yeah, he was my only friend in real life who actually played EVE. None of my other friends, they cared about EVE. They're all console gamers, so. Rest in peace, Cyrus Ivan. Okay, get a feel for, was this Q&A satisfactory to those who attended? Did I answer everyone's questions well? I don't know. Sometimes it's challenging to think, did I give the answer they were expecting or what they were seeking?
Well, general in chat is resounding yes.
Okay, good. It's my first Q&A ever, so I hope it was done well, and I'm glad to hear people liked it.
All right, we've got one more. So Buffoon asked once again, do you recommend that new players remap their attributes right away, or should they wait until they have a longer skill training plan?
They should definitely wait. Yeah, especially since you have limited remaps, so I would definitely wait before to remap until you have a for certain plan of skill training. Oh, another reason why I took up video making about EVE Online, because I wanted to include this. It's the thing that kept me playing EVE for the many years that I have, because it gave me a way to share my interest in the game. And when I got the responses from people that they liked it, and it kind of reinforced my my passion for the game. I constantly just reinforced. So that's what kept me also playing over the years, I think, is the video making that I took up years ago.
All right. I think we've got all of them.
I was curious at what time zone is the majority of the EVE University membership online. And I picked this afternoon because I think it'd be best for me at it's actually 1 p.m. here. Or no, it's 2 p.m. now, but it's 1 p.m. when we started. It's a little early for me.
Most of the students are usually either US time zone or EU based. So for the EU, it should be around 7 p.m. now. Most of the time was pretty good for most people. Maybe slightly awkward for some of the US time zone players that have to work in the afternoon, but yeah. Also, we'll try to get a recording posted as soon as possible.
Okay, good.
All right. Seeing as we don't have any more questions, well, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. I'd like to thank everybody for listening and everybody that asked the questions. And, well, if you did a recording of this Q&A, I'd ask you to please post it in the post your recorded classes thread in the scheduled classes forum. You should find that at the top, along with the other stickies nobody reads. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Hey, you're welcome, and thank you to everyone who showed up and actually took the time to listen to me ramble on and answer these questions. I appreciate that, and may EVE University continue on for many years to come. 10 years anniversary is a pretty big deal, and I really hope EVE University continues on its path. Hey, Titus.
Yep.
Is there a way to unmute everyone in this chat channel?
I can do that, yeah.
See, give them the chance to actually speak to me if they wanted to, because I have extra time if they want to. Just hopefully no one's microphone is too loud, because that would be terrible because I'm wearing headphones.
Thank you so much, Johnny, for showing up and sharing your experiences.
You're welcome.
I've really appreciated your videos when I was sitting out doing exploring.
And that's what I made them for. I guess I made them because that's what I wanted to see when I was looking for exploration videos. So I knew one day that would be helpful to somebody,
Yeah, this is Lara, and the reason I approached you for coming to talk to us is because there are quite a lot of channels, quite a lot of people who do these videos, but your channel is the one that I just keep going back to. It's always at the top of my subscriptions, and it's this is relevant to my interests. And a lot of the videos are just kind of, fraps and whatever else, but I really learned something from the ones you do.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. It's interesting. I get a lot of mails, but hearing it from someone speaking to me, it's totally different. I get so many mails about it, but I appreciate that. I try to do what I can. Hopefully I can make more videos in the future. Lately I've been I take breaks. The older I get in the game, the longer I take breaks from the game and from video making. Maybe that changed in the future, but for now, I'm still on a slight, the second of this month. The last video I made, so it's been like 12 days. Pretty long break from video making, but hopefully I'll have something to speak about that's interesting. I try not to make videos that are worthless anymore. In the past, I made a number of videos that, in my opinion, retrospectively, it was worthless. A video that didn't hold up. I want to make videos that stand the test of time from now on, helpful videos. So that's what I strive to do, but those videos take more time to think about and how to approach, so I don't know. Let's see. I appreciate everyone showing up. It's really awesome to have so many people. I expected maybe 10 people, 10 to 12 show up. I didn't expect this many, so it was really nice.
Yeah, looks like we topped out at 27 in the Mumble channel, and in our lecture chat channel that has the questions, we had over 100 people that are just logged in and logging on, but they'll all have that chat log as well.
Yeah, a new filter was a new system they released with Rubicon 1.3. The text, you can have certain things get highlighted. That is just so good. And things that cause channels to blink. Like now, for instance, for a chat channel that I use, I could have my name be used as a thing that causes the channel to blink. It's so good. I wonder, so many of these changes, people think, wow, it takes them years to come up with this particular change. But yeah, it's just how Eve works, I guess, the development of a game.
One of our expert server admins made his own Perl script that does exactly that. Basically makes his computer speaker beep any time his name shows up in a chat log.
Oh, I guess those of us who are far more knowledgeable in that field can do that. It's nice that he can do that. I wish maybe someone would have released a guide. Was it complicated for him to do that?
Depending on how your system works, I think it's fairly easy to, the actual speaker beeping, might take some interrupt hooks knowledge. But he's like our main server admin, so he knows all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. It's probably baby stuff to him.
So you're still pretty active on the EVE Online official forums, is that right? One of our comments in the class thread was that, you still are responsible for, a lot of the main exploration threads there that are really helpful for people. Do you still spend a lot of time browsing the forums?
So that's one post I saw on that forum that didn't quite make sense to me because I don't ever thought I was responsible for any, good exploration threads or anything like that. I was active from time to time. Like a year ago, I was very active in the missions and complexes area and answering people's questions and trying to give advice. But I think lately I've been more on the side of trolling, not in a real hurtful manner, but the kind of questions that get asked over and over again. It kind of gets annoying. I'm not getting any loot. Where's all the loot? Those kind of questions I like to troll. But I used to be I'm responsible for good exploration threads. I don't really hold myself in high regard for a lot of things. I just do what I do. I don't know.
It's usually the best way to be successful.
I would hope so, because then I could be more so on that path. Yeah, there's other things with I guess if you held yourself in high regard, you have a very much more higher self-esteem. I don't hold myself in high regard, but I think I have a pretty level self-esteem. It's not too elevated, not too low. Kind of good, I guess.
That's part of why I like the tone in your videos as well. Anyway, I'll say thank you and stop talking and let everyone else ask a question if they'd like.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if anybody might be might not have any more questions to ask because they already answered them all. Or you could just say something.
On the public server, people aren't really used to talking, but might get some people who get up the courage.
That's fine. Some people don't have microphones that they want to use, I guess. Maybe they don't have a microphone readily available.
That's always true, yeah.
Well,
I think about it this way. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. This might be the only time you might actually be able to ask me a question voice to voice instead of getting some emotionalist text mail reply if you have any other questions. Just to let you know.
So why haven't you gone into wormholes even though they do take a little bit more time? Why haven't you decided to do that as a change of pace?
That's exactly the reason why. It's just the time investment that I would have to spend. I cannot see myself doing it right now with my lifestyle and how I live real life. It just doesn't fit.
Okay.
Maybe in the future it will fit and I'll get into it heavily, but right now, and for the past years, it just hasn't fit. I wish it did though, because that's an overlap that would be amazing for YouTube or EVE Online video content, because wormhole space is something that so many people don't participate in. It's the least populated area of space in EVE Online, correct? Like the CCP showed the statistics.
Yeah,
I believe. So that would be due to that reason. That tells me that would be the most interesting thing to make videos about. And if I liked wormhole space and had that kind of lifestyle, I could, take up wormhole living, it would be a perfect overlap for viewership and YouTube and EVE Online, all that stuff. Okay, I see Benson's question in Mumble chat channel. Yeah, I thought about streaming on Twitch, but currently my upload speed is only 1 megabit per second. So it's pretty bad, and I do not want to create a subpar stream and do that. So and that's how I've always been. If I want to do something, I want to do something right and well the first time. So I'm just waiting until the day I can get better internet service in my area before I do that. It's really something I wanted to do, though. I really want to get into streaming because I know I could do it because I have the background to produce a good stream with the studies I've done in college and real life. So hopefully one day I have the chance to do it. Exactly. Yeah, my download is like 12, 15. My upload is 1. It just kills me. But that's what I get for living in the rural area and having a ISP who has a monopoly on the area. I live in Ohio at the moment, so plenty of farmland and terrible internet service around.
So what could we do to entice you to teach an exploration class for us?
See, the challenging part is that I would have to put in the time to produce, create notes and have a plan, beginning, middle, and end of a lesson. And I've always felt it more worthwhile to put that time into creating a video series. And by having that video series, available to many people over years of time, rather than one teaching episode, a voice lesson that gets shared on a myriad of audio sharing websites. I feel that a video series about exploration for beginners would be perfect, but I have to find the time or make the time to actually produce that, and then that would be far more effective. So I don't know. It depends on. I don't know. I really don't. It depends on how much time and effort I want to put into it.
That's a very valid point, and I can see like the teachers in our corporation are getting to the point where we're using more and more like slideshows and things that are supplementary materials, and then using the Twitch streaming and recording that and having that as an archive as well as just the audio. Mm-hmm. So lots of things like that are evolving to be more and more useful for both live and posterity, and preserving that for later, looking at later.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's how I feel about it. And also, of course, this is the obvious thing, if I were to produce a video series on that, it would be very profitable for me, obviously,
That's a fair point, too.
I've always been, no one brought this up about how me telling and showing people about exploration and giving them hints, advice, and all this stuff, it's actually making exploration more competitive for me. That's the difficult part about making videos about EVE Online, educational, is that whoever you educate becomes a competitor. So it's challenging because EVE Online is so competitive that's the first thing I thought of when I thought about making exploration videos, that, man, if I do this, people are going to be more competitive with me. So it's a win. It's not a win-win, is it? It's a little bit of both. Win, lose, win-win.
Kind of a zero-sum game, I think, is the expression for that.
Right, okay. I have to look that up. I never used that phrasing in my life, so I have to look that up. My greatest educational tool for EVE Online, Google.com. It has never failed me. Okay, well, if anybody doesn't have anything else, then I guess I'm going to disconnect from the Mumble.
All right, thank you so much for installing Mumble and coming to chat with us.
You're welcome, and thanks for inviting me, and, good luck to you and EVE University staff and team for the upcoming years. It's a good service you guys provide for the EVE universe, the New Eden universe. So, thank you, and goodbye, everybody. Thanks for joining the Q&A. Bye-bye.